So this is going to be what I've decided my sole attempt to, I don't know, inform people, whatever you want to call it. But maybe I'm equating this to my Thomas Paine um, common sense. But at the same time, also likewise going to apply the draw from Martin Luther, not King, but Martin Luther, the anti-Semitic, psychopathic, fascist, um, chauvinistic pig of the Protestant Reformation, and use his tactic. And I'm going to put this on the religious institutions, schools, both public and private, like Montessori and stuff like that, convalescent homes, daycare centers, libraries, post offices, and you know, bus stops and whatnot. This is gonna be it. I'm gonna design it like this. I'm about to go take care of it when the library opens. Type it up, print it up, make some copies. I probably won't make all the copies I use at the library because of the price. I'll probably go someplace because I need to. I'm thinking of making 1,000, I guess. Maybe, maybe I'm cheap. I don't have money, so maybe 100, 500, 500, something like that. $50. So, but this is gonna be it. Um, this is the article denoting the intention to transport from the Department of Energy and NASA, which is the front for the Pentagon and Rocketdyne, the original perpetrators of this event. And this is what I wrote. This is how it's going to be structured. And I love the music. I'm using it. I don't care. It seems right. I've always wanted to use this music in something. So let's do it now. In 1959, something happened in Simi Valley that Rocketdyne and the Pentagon don't want you to think about. Something they actively treat as no big deal. And while most Americans and wannabe Americans have been trained to put more trust in our U.S. government than the ominous UN, it was the POTUS called Ike that gave birth to the UN's IAEA. Despite having Tricky Dick as his Veep, Ike stands solidified across party and race lines as one of the most respected POTUS ever, ever, ever. Even though he wasn't a Christian, wasn't a lawyer, and wasn't a civil rights patron of minorities, you will not find one group that denigrates his legacy. As an attribute of the monumental populist approval that even expands to almost all nations, the IAEA remains an icon of the vision and dream, his vision and dream for the future, us. As such, these two American entities with very real interests and objectives are in radical opposition to the IAEA's current assessment of that lone event of which Rocketdyne and the Pentagon were the sole cause of. I could put perpetrators, but cause is fine. According to the IAEA, that single event stands as one of the most significant historical events of what is unquestionably known as the nuclear age, that being the first nuclear reactor meltdown, which the IAEA, and as such the entire United Nations, still declares the fourth worst nuclear accident ever. Number one being Fukushima, number two being Chernobyl, number three being 3 Mile Island, and number four being what is known as SR1. So that's gonna be my take. That's what I got. I don't expect. This is just pretty much to clear my conscience to say that I did what I could, however that works. I don't expect the people to comprehend or get what's going on. I don't expect them to equate the same violence that U.S. officials are calling for Americans to support against the Iranian government under the context of the pursuit of nuclear weapons so as to threaten American citizens' well being and the world in general. Even going so far as to resort back to the same Iraqi propaganda that led to the deaths of 3 million Iraqis, and ongoing, still going on with the radioactive waste from the depleted uranium, which is another way of them getting rid of this waste. They don't get it. Basically, they're turning this area into a little Iraq, because of what Iraq 2 was actually a massive, um, besides an invasion and besides the oil, it was actually a massive, how do I put this, disposal of nuclear material, and I think it was over 500,000 metric tons of nuclear waste converted into ammo, the same thing that they do with food. Um, Terminator technology was dumped in Iraq. There's massive amounts of child defects and miscarriages, which America is already at third world levels for stillbirths and babies dying. So, you know, people will not equate the violence that U.S. officials and Pentagon and FBI and the president are, and John Kerry and Hillary Clinton, who threatened nuclear assault on, which is a crime, international crime against Iran. The violence that they're calling for against the Iranian government is indeed justified in those under such circumstances. It's just that in reality, they are the ones perpetrating those circumstances on what the their own, whatever you want to call it, people that perceive there to be some kind of pseudo alliance between them, the general public, or what do they believe a United States citizen has some kind of significant designation, and these great protectors of the national interest. This is the national interest. And in the national interest, this is triage. It's not treason, this is triage. Because if it was treason, then the murder, as then this will result in the death, which is murder. This is intentional, knowing, foresight, intent, premeditated. The deaths that occur from this are murder in every legal sense. But the murders that are being actively and publicly devised and premeditated, in turn justify a defense. And you know what? If you want to take Martin Luther King's approach and do some kind of civil disobedience, I think the best you could do is divert the path to some other community that has less of a voice and maybe count that as a victory. But that's just becoming them. Because the horrible complexity of this situation is that there is no solution as it stands right now, and this is not a solution. And if there is a solution, I would draw on the words from a Buddhist teacher from Japan in the 1940s to the 1950s, from 1930s to 1950s. His name was Josei Toda, and in September 8th, I believe 1957, he made a declaration in which he said, anyone that uses nuclear weapons against anybody for whatever reason, they should be executed. And that's from a hardcore Buddhist peace activist that has established one of the largest lay organizations on the planet called the SGI USA. And this, I believe, qualifies, though you will not see, I have many critiques, you will not see any of the members of the SGI, which claim to be disciples of this guy Toda, declared that the perpetrators of this act, because this is not, it's not just this, it already happened. It's already here. This is just another phase of it. But you will not hear any of those fake, smiling, wannabe, peace-loving, happy as you die, happy being a slave, happy being a drone, happy being a big fascist pig. You will not hear any of them echo the words of their alleged mentor and say that the perpetrators of this plot, which ongoing plot, namely Rocketdyne and the Pentagon, should be executed. Because they know that whatever they believe is as hollow as the sentiment and the patriotism of these entities, because they're one. There's silence